Hello, welcome to today's esoteric collective reading. I hope you're looking forward to the vibes. We're gonna jump straight into it. Automatically, I've been getting two songs, and I just went to go listen to the first one I'm gonna mention to make sure I got the lyrics right, because it's been a minute since I've heard it. But if the songs, either Wait For Me from Hadestown, the Broadway musical, or Good Old Days by Hayley Williams, both of those songs feel very relevant to today's reading. I also kept getting this very giddy vibe of this might be a love reading, which would make sense with those songs, because one of those is like talking about how going beyond the depths of what is known in order to be with somebody, even like going against like literal godly boundaries, rules, right? If you're not familiar with Hadestown, it tells the tale of Orpheus and Eurydice. I highly recommend looking that up and doing some research on that tale, because there are a couple different iterations of it depending on which part you read, but that tale could be a synchronicity for you. With Good Old Days with Hayley Williams, that song is more personal to the artist who wrote it, but the general vibe is discussing like how the hard times are now the good old days because of nostalgia and like reliving those memories from a new perspective of a changed relationship, right? So this idea that I think somebody's in your energy like hardcore, and I get the vibe that you know this, or you've just been kind of like, if you're not super in tune with your intuitiveness, I'll say, you could be like thinking about somebody and annoyed as to why you're thinking about them. That's probably because they're thinking about you, babes. Like, if somebody's constantly thinking about you, that's so much of their mental brain space that is just in all for you. So it would make sense if you pick up on some of that, whether you believe in energy or not. So let's see what's going on. I've got my tarot deck out. If you're interested in any of the decks, they will be listed in the description as always. And yeah, so what's with this lover energy? Like, all right. So the first card is Six of Cups. Interesting. That makes sense with that nostalgia energy we're talking about with the good old days. Also, I should mention, if you're a new viewer, I have a cat, and he sometimes plays with the cat toys, because obviously he's a cat, so he would do that. So you may hear the cat toys in the background every once in a while. Mind me. He also may show his face in the reading video itself too, so heads up. Also, the numbers 1 and 3 or 13 could be significant, which 1 is the Magician in the tarot, 3 is the Empress in the tarot, and 13 is the Death/Rebirth in the tarot. Or you could go angel numbers with 1 being of like new beginnings and starting out fresh, and 3 being more about like creativity, love, and passion, and like being aligned with your life purpose. So, going back to the Six of Cups energy, it kind of brings back that vibe of like nostalgia, right? Six of Cups to me is very much like remembering playing in the sand pit as a kid, or like remembering how you won an award in middle school or something like that. Like, it's very much remembering nostalgia, whether or not you're remembering your early 20s, your teens, your kid years, who knows. But in a love reading, this could be determined a couple different ways. Either A, this is somebody from your past, this is somebody that you've had a relationship with, whether it be romantic or platonic, which would make sense with the Good Old Days song. That song is particularly talking about a previous relationship partner, so that would check out. Another interpretation of Six of Cups in a love reading is that this person is very inner child healing, or the dynamic between you two would be very inner child healing. This gives me the vibes of like y'all would play video games together or something like that, right? Or like y'all are able to be friends and partners, not just partners, if that makes sense. So yeah, let's keep going. I will note while I keep drawing cards, it's interesting that it comes out sideways. Like this person is reminiscing about some times that they had with you, or it could be the other way around. You could be reminiscing about this person, or both. Ooh, okay, another card came out. Two of Pentacles. Interesting. So Two of Pentacles, I actually really want to read this one to you straight from the book that comes with this deck. So this will be a little bit more of a broader, because obviously with the book it gives you a broad definition of the card, because that way you can apply it to different scenarios. But we're going to start this one out with the Two of Pentacles. So some key words with this card are options, priorities, and management, meaning balance. This too is about balancing and the need to keep priorities in check. There is a financial situation on the cards, whether you are choosing between two jobs, moving or staying in your own living situation, or studying. Monitor finances now. Spend time wisely and look at the bigger picture. This is also a busy period, and you can expect an outlay of money soon. This card can also predict multitasking on the job and feeling overwhelmed as the finances flowing in and going straight out again. And then the little star message that comes with all of these cards in this deck is manage your finances well and educate yourself on every possible outcome. So, if any of those broader informations felt like they were aligned with what's going on in your life, feel free to take that advice as well. We're putting this into more of a love reading aspect. I would say that either you or this person is deciding on how they feel about the situation currently. With that card, it talks about choosing whether or not what you're currently in is right for you at the current moment, or whether you should switch it out. It talks about like that moving or staying at different, or moving or staying in the same living situation, right? The idea that monitor finances now can be translated into a love reading as like monitoring how much energy you spend thinking about this person on, right? With Pentacles, it's material, right? So if you're not thinking about money, another way you could think about that is energy, because money is an example of energy, similarly to how like money can be used for a lot of things, good and bad. So money itself is just energy, it doesn't necessarily have an attached feeling of positivity or negativity. That depends on more how you use it. So when it comes to saying that kind of metaphor with thinking about somebody, that's energy that you're giving that person from yourself, right? That's brain power. If you're literally thinking about this person for hours, that's hours you could be thinking about literally anything or anybody else. So monitoring how much time and energy you're spending thinking about this other person, or vice versa, they're being aware of trying to monitor how much they think about you, which, depending on whose side I'm reading for with this right now, or which side you personally relate with, there's this idea of wanting to go into the nostalgia of the good old days, and like wishing, kind of like wishful thinking kind of mentality, if that makes sense. But also wanting to stay grounded in the modern reality. I would not be surprised if this was a person that you're either not in contact with, or you just recently got back into contact with after a period of time. Something along those lines. It feels like there's this need to literally balance. My cat just dropped from a cat tower, so if you heard that, that's what that was. He's fine, don't worry, he just jumped. But anyways, point being though, there's this point of like wanting to balance the, ooh, fun memory, that's a fun memory, and then also, but also I need to focus on the now and live in the moment. That's what this energy is giving. Let's pull some more tarot, get some more information. Maybe how is this person feeling about you right now that we kind of know where we're at currently. Interesting. So the magician fell, and it fell like directly on my foot. So it also fell on my left foot, which is their... Oh, that's not in frame. 1 second. I'm gonna... Yeah. Okay, cool. So this person feeling about you getting the magician card, also it fell on my left foot, so my left side, which is the feminine, more feely side. If you think about like the left brain and right brain, how like the right brain is more like, I think of that fucking Bo Burnham song. Like, which, if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. But like literally, how the right brain can be more analytical and the left brain is more creative. You can totally interpret that as the left side of yourself is more of the creativity, the feminine, the emotional, the life instinct, and then your right side, or the right side of the brain, is more death instinct, more action, doing, planning, making stuff happen. Going against a status quo is another way of putting that, but that's more of a death instinct, life instinct thing than what I'm talking about. But hopefully that kind of translates different ways to view what I'm discussing here with why I mentioned it's my left foot versus my right. Because with the magician card, it's all about like alchemizing your reality and making your life what you want, right? So thinking that, not even thinking, believing that you have a say in your reality and then acting on that to make sure you have control over said reality. And I say the word control, I don't mean that in a negative context, I just mean like you are who you want to be, both internally and externally, right? When you think of a magician, I think of like a wizard with a wand, right? They say a certain spell, and then that spell makes the thing that they wanted to happen, right? It's not necessarily a bad context for me saying control over reality, because sometimes it's just as simple as making food. Like, it's a spell, you know? You have a goal you set in mind, you figure out the steps and or cantation to do it, and then you make it happen, right? So this person could totally see you as like a go-getter, like make your life how you want, very much grounded. I get that's the kind of another way to interpret the control of your own life energy. I also get the vibes that this person might stumble around their words with you, or maybe they're like worried they might do that if you're in no contact. Let's get some more. How does this person feel about you? Okay, interesting. Put that right there. So, a 9 of Pentacles sideways, and while I readjust the camera so you can see, this is incredibly interesting because with the 9 of Pentacles, it talks about like being comfortable on your own, you're making enough resources to be able to provide for yourself, making like comfortability, both in a money sense of like being able to relax and not have to worry about taxes, frankly, and then also like outside of a money sense, like that grounded energy is coming back again. Like, this person could see you as incredibly grounded as a person, very much in your element is another thing that I'm getting with. I'm getting something to do with the wand suit. I wouldn't be shocked if the next card we get is a wand suit, because there's something with the lines of like being in control of your reality and the alchemy with that. I should also note that this was not on camera, but when I pulled out my deck, the bottom of the deck card was Temperance, which is also about alchemy. So, but it's interesting that it's sideways, because it's like, with the other card we have sideways being that inner child, you know, nostalgia card, it's like this person sees that you have worked on your inner child, like you have put in work into making sure that you are comfortable with yourself and your inner child. Yeah, and then the 8 of Pentacles comes out with perfection. So this person like can tell that you've put a lot of work onto yourself. If I can get that to focus, hello. There we go. Yeah, this might have taken some real work to like be able to ground you and your inner child, and this person has either seen the process of this, or this person can just tell based off of the vibe, maybe the way you hold yourself in conversation, the way you speak, could literally be in the way like you stand and your posture, right? This person can see that you've put in a lot of work into your external, and it is paying off. Eight of Pentacles is like one of the best cards of the deck, in my opinion. I'm not gonna say it's the best, because that's probably the Sun card, frankly. Like, that card is all about positivity. But Eight of Pentacles feels like... Okay, it reminds me of this thing that I was told a lot as a kid, where it was like, when you work for the money that you make, the money that you make feels like it's worth more. And so it's this idea of like, you've put in so much energy and time and dedication into taking control of your reality and your life, and this person can see that and see how much it has benefited you both externally and internally. Kind of like, I mean, if you know, I get the vibe you do know if you're here, but for sake of explaining myself, it's like being able to work on yourself internally does have an effect on your external, so this person would be able to see. I just drew it down to, okay, 2 cards, so I'm gonna flip them and see. Boop and boop. Ooh, okay. So we got the King of Swords and the Hanged Man. This is incredibly interesting. So these cards just came out at the bottom of my deck. Like, my deck kind of naturally flipped a little bit, and the bottom 2 came off, and it was these 2, right? So this is giving me less of like how they feel about you, and more about how they feel about you affects them. Like, their reaction almost to you and to your presence. Like, they can see that you are very much somebody with that hangman energy of like being at peace with the process that it has taken through. And I feel like that this person has probably witnessed and has made them like I just hit my mic by accident, I'm sorry. Your progress has made this person think about their own mental journey. That's what I'm getting from this. Like, I'm almost getting the vibe that they're inspired by you almost. But it's about like, maybe even about shadow work. Like, with the idea of the swords, right? It's the king of the swords, so the master of the suit. And it's like, there's this, like, a lot of work behind it. There's energy, but yet it's swords, which is the mental side. So it's like, combining with the fact that it's by that alchemy card, and with the 2 of Pentacles of like taking your time, and then with the Hangman being on that 6 of Cups, it's like this person has seen you work on your inner child and has watched you through the process. I'm getting the vibes maybe through social media, maybe in person if you like work with this person, maybe they've seen you across the hallway, something like that. But the vibes that this person knows that you've done a lot of work on yourself, and it's almost inspired them to want to continue to work on them. Because if it was like a Page in Swords, I would get that maybe this person hasn't done a lot of work on themselves, and so then you inspire them to start. But we got King of Swords, and that is not a novice. That is not Page at all. That is somebody who probably just needed like the final like brick on the building, like very much has already put in a lot of work. But something about, honestly, it's interesting that I mentioned this. In a previous tarot reading, I talked about the difference to me between the kings and the queens is that the queens represent more of the feminine feeling side of that suit, and the kings represent more of the action doing side, masculine. So when it comes to the King of Swords coming out, it could be that this person has already done a lot of work on their mental, but seeing you put that work to your material makes this person want to also do that. So taking the work that they've done from their brain and placing it into their material. A simplified example of what I'm talking about would be like, so for example, I paint. I just finished a painting, right? So if you did a piece of artwork, right, and this person saw your piece of artwork and they were also somebody who wanted to paint, then they would be like, whoa, I've been wanting to paint for a long time, been thinking about it, but I never like got the final thing to actually make me go buy the supplies. But seeing this person's artwork, now I feel like I can, like, I'm gonna do it, and that last step of inspiration is what like makes them go. I feel like I want to snap, but I don't want to because of the microphone. But the energy of it just gonna like it just happens. Like that inspiration that you create in them was the final step they needed to put some action towards some alchemy in their own life, perhaps alchemy with their inner child. So like maybe this, if we're going with the painting example, because that's just something that I'm very used to, very well versed in. If this person really wanted to be a painter when they grew up and they just kind of never went down that route, and then suddenly they see you painting or you doing clay or you needle felting, I don't know, and they're like, whoa, yeah, I can do that. Like, it's never too late to start. I can do that. I've been wanting to do it for years. Fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And then there you go. That's that King of Swords energy of like turning almost into a King of Pentacles. But with how many Pentacles cards we have here, I feel pretty comfortable in assessing that this is somebody who's already thought a lot about doing this. They just needed a little extra oomph, almost. But that oomph could just be witnessing somebody else who's already done that, aka it feels like you. But let's get into interesting. So I was gonna pull from a different deck, but I'm feeling like I kind of wanted to keep doing tarot. Also, I should note at the bottom of the deck energy was Ace of Pentacles. So like I said, there's something with like the energy of this person getting out of the mind and having the shadow work that they've probably already done affect their external. Kind of like how when you go to therapy, aka like me, and then you start painting about your inner child emotions. Like, a lot of my paintings, when I first started going to therapy, she would give me a prompt of like, hey, this happened in your childhood, make a painting about it so you can like emotionally work through that. Kind of like that. That's what I mean by alchemy in this context of inspiration. A card dropped and I don't know where it went. Hello? Oh, there it is. Interesting. Wow, okay. I'm glad I did more. So the card that fell that was low-key hidden from me was the Judgment. This card, I keep having like different favorite cards of the deck, but I think in this deck in particular, I really love the artwork of the Judgment card. I'll probably zoom the camera on in it real quick. But as I'm talking about that and moving the camera, this Judgment card is all about like aligning with your life purpose. Some would even say like aligning with like what the divine has in store for you, if that's phrasement that makes more of a cathartic sense to you, I say. But this Judgment card is absolutely stunning. Like the idea that these three individuals are looking up to the moon and asking for help or divine gift or divine guidance, right? I'm just gonna let you meditate on it for a second. I feel like that's important. Just like, what does this card bring emotions to you? I get the vibe that with this card being secret and literally being hidden from me because I wasn't looking when it fell and I couldn't find it, it was hidden like right behind my childhood teddy bear. And so I'm just like, I'm so getting the vibes that there is probably some action like we were talking about with this person, but you don't see it. This would make sense if you're not talking to this person, right? Yeah. Also on the bottom of the deck right now, I'm just gonna pan the camera because I don't even really want to like touch it just to be able to show you, but like, there we go. 3 of Swords in reverse and the 9 of Wands in reverse and the 5 of Cups in reverse are the ones I can currently see. This is giving me the energy that this individual is like, okay, I'm gonna fucking say something. Possibly because you have inspired them to do so. Now, whether you've inspired them to work on themselves and they want to say thank you for the inspiration, or they want to tell you that they loved you for your entire life and they want to say something. I don't know. That's what you'll find out. But the idea that somebody could be inspired by you enough to align with their own life purpose is a very high compliment in its own self. So whether or not this actually ends up being about love when you receive this information, know that it still feels like very much a complimentary energy. Like, this person has a lot of respect for you. Very much like, I'm very much getting inspiration energy. And so maybe they even want to learn from you in a way with that magician card. Like, yeah. Also, it's interesting that I put the Judgment card there because it's on the Hanged Man. So it's like the energy with the Hanged Man, it's all about like being okay with the peace of stillness of life and not needing to have all your manifestations come in immediately kind of a vibe is another way you can interpret that card. But with the Judgment card being hidden and then I found it and then it's there, it's like you don't see how quickly you're going to find out about this. Could be an interpretation. Like, this is a timeless reading, so whenever you find this, it's supposed to apply for this point in your life. Maybe this is finding you at a point in life where you're about to find out some shit. 26:46 on the timer just then. And so while I do edit my videos a little bit and the timer might not align for what timer you're sharing on the YouTube video, I do want to point that out, that like 6 is a number about balance and love. 4 is about like people. Okay, interesting. I was going to say like spirit guides or your source of divinity, but people too, like just being around you and being able to support you, knowing that you have friends, family, and loved ones who can support you and are there for you. And then 2, another number of balance, very much like good things are coming on the way, karmic retribution, partnership, you know, it takes 2 to tango kind of a vibe. So what comes to mind whenever I think of that. So this is giving like, this is like the least this is the least lovey-dovey love reading I've witnessed, which is interesting because it's kind of the first one that I'm posting that's love-centric. But this person has a lot of like admiration for you. Like, they have a lot of respect. And if there was issues in the past, like with that beginning channeled songs of Good Old Days by Haley Williams and then Wait For Me from Hades Down the musical, it's giving like, if there was some issues in this past, then this person has learned a lot from you within the separation. Hence why I think the social media thing came up earlier, because like, if you're not talking to this person, I don't know how else they would learn from you. But then again, that's also why the work thing could come up, right? Because if this person works with you, if this is like a coworker, and they're seeing you do really good at your job, and you're killing it, you're putting in the extra mile, you're passionate, you're happy, you're smiling, yeah, that would inspire anybody, you know? So I don't want the social media thing to come off too, like, don't be scared that you don't have a stalker, it's okay. I'm not talking about that. It's just more that this person, like, just likes to keep up with you because they respect the fuck out of you. Wants to learn from you, it's coming through, like, a lot. But before I make this too long, I'm going to end it off with a All of You is Magic card. These cards are good for journaling, meditations, pretty much just like visual aid practices if you're interested in that. I really like them for like a quick little ender thing of like a mantra to keep in your head throughout the day. Okay, so we're gonna do this one. I cut the deck to it. And while I get the camera to focus, if this art makes you think of anything, feelings, thoughts, memories, just kind of sitting on that, maybe some previous lessons you've learned this reminds you of. And then we're going to read this. The love in your heart is sacred. It does not need validation or reciprocation to exist. It's here to open your heart, not control your circumstances. I'm going to read that one more time. The love in your heart is sacred. It does not need validation or reciprocation to exist. It's here to open your heart, not control your circumstances. And then the little ritual, which hopefully I can get to focus on my camera. These are the parts that I really like for journal exercises and stuff. Pardon me one moment, I gotta get this camera to focus. Write down some expectations you've tied to love. Then visualize releasing them, allowing love to exist without goals or preconceived notions. That is really cool. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave any thoughts or feelings that you had in the comments below if you'd like. Like I said, all the decks used will be in the YouTube description. And I would say just get excited to hear about this. Like, it's cool to have an impact like that on a person. And I think you're pretty cool for doing that. So, just kind of breathe through it, you know. 32 on the 32 on the timer. And yeah, if you're still here, please check out my linktree and my YouTube description and YouTube bio to help donate money to Palestine, Sudan, Congo, Yemen, and Haiti, as well as many more. The whole point of that is to help put money into where money can help people live better lives. So if you're interested in doing that, please do so in the description below. Also, if you're an immigrant, particularly in the USA, since y'all are being heavily attacked today, and all the time, frankly, I hope you have a beautiful day today, and I hope you get the opportunity to sit on your front porch and admire the beautiful autumn season we're having. I got to do that this morning because I randomly woke up at like 6 a.m. and it was so nice. Like, the sun was out, and so it was just cold enough to where you had to wear a blanket and jacket, but warm enough to where you could be out there for 30 minutes and be fine. It was really nice. So hopefully you get some energy like that, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.